Open your phone and scroll back through your messages. Look at how many of them are people bringing you something. A problem. A decision. A bad day they needed to put down somewhere. Now look for the ones asking how you are. Not the ones that say hey before getting to the point. The ones that stop and wait. Most people who do this find fewer than they expected. Some find none at all. And the strange part is what happens next. You don't feel angry. You feel something closer to embarrassed, like noticing it at all is a little pathetic. That reaction is the whole subject of this video. Because what's happening to you isn't neglect. It's a system. And you helped build it. Nobody decides to become the strong one. It happens by accident, and it happens the same way for almost everyone. Someone needed help. You were good at it. So they came back. And then someone else came, because word travels. Groups are efficient. They find out who handles things, and then they stop looking. Roles harden fast, and once they harden, nobody revisits them. So somewhere along the way, being the one who helped stopped being something you did occasionally and became the entire description of who you are to these people. And here is the part that matters. That description has no clause in it about you being helped. It was never written down. Nobody agreed to it. But everyone is following it. Now here's the mechanism. This is the part almost nobody sees, including the person it's happening to. Think about how you actually tell people things. You don't say it while it's happening. You say it after. I had a rough few months, but I'm okay now. That was a hard time, but I figured it out. Work was awful, but it's better. Every one of those sentences arrives with the ending already attached. So the people around you learn something without ever noticing they learned it. They learn that by the time you speak, you're already fine. And if you're already fine, there is nothing to check on. You have shown them the beginning and the end of every difficult thing in your life. You have never once shown them the middle. The middle is the part where you don't know what to do. Where it isn't resolved. Where there's no lesson yet and no reassuring sentence to put on the end of it. They have never seen you there. So they don't know it exists. Which brings us to the thing that's hardest to accept. Your friends are not being careless. They are responding, correctly, to the information you have given them. Think about it from their side for a second. Asking someone who always seems fine whether they're okay feels almost rude. It carries an implication that you don't think they can handle it. That you've noticed something wobbly in someone who has never once looked wobbly. So people don't ask. Not because they don't care, but because asking feels like an accusation of weakness. The people around you have been trained. And the person who trained them was you. That is not an insult. It is the only good news in this entire video, because a system you built is a system you can change. A world full of uncaring people is not something you can do anything about. And then the loop closes on itself. You wait. Nobody asks. And you draw a conclusion from that. The logic feels airtight. If something were really wrong, people would notice. Real care shows up on its own. It doesn't need to be requested. So if nobody is asking, then either everything is fine, or nobody actually cares. That belief is what holds the entire thing in place. Because it means you never have to go first. You don't have to risk sounding needy. You don't have to admit you're struggling. You just wait. And you watch. And you read their silence as evidence. Meanwhile, they are reading your silence exactly the same way. Two people, both waiting, both certain the other one has already made their position clear. Psychology has a name for the version of this that runs deep. John Bowlby, the psychiatrist who built attachment theory, called it compulsive self-reliance. An insistence on handling everything alone, worn like armor, and mistaken by everyone, including the person wearing it, for strength. Bowlby was specific about where it comes from. He described it emerging in people who grew up somewhere that expression of feeling was discouraged, where needing others was treated as childish, where affection was little valued and asking for it was rebuffed. Later research found the same pattern holds into adulthood, and that it's one of the stronger predictors of psychological difficulty. Not because self-reliance is bad. Self-reliance is genuinely useful. But because compulsive self-reliance removes an option you're supposed to have. You can still cope. You just can't stop coping. Now, the usual advice for this is to set boundaries. Say no more often. Stop giving so much. Cut off the people who take. And for some situations that's right. Some people really are only taking. But for most people watching this, that advice misses the target completely because the problem was never that you help too much. Helping people is not a character flaw. Being the one others trust with hard things is not something to fix. The problem is much smaller and much more specific than that. It isn't that you give too much. It's that you have never let anyone see you before the ending. So here is what actually changes it, and it is smaller than you'd think. You don't have to ask for help. Most people reading this would rather do almost anything than ask for help, and telling you to do it won't work. You just have to let one person see the middle. One person. One thing. And crucially, while it's still unresolved. Not that was a hard month, but I'm okay now. Instead, I'm in the middle of something difficult and I haven't figured it out yet. That's it. No request attached. No favor being asked. You are not handing them a problem to solve, you're just letting them see you somewhere other than the finish line. And what that does is quietly rewrite the rule. Because the moment someone learns that you have a middle, checking on you stops feeling like an insult and starts feeling possible. The first time is uncomfortable. It will feel like too much. It is almost certainly not too much. Someone came to mind while you were watching this. Maybe it was you. Maybe it was the friend who always seems fine, who you've never once thought to ask about, because they've never given you a reason to. If it was them, ask. Not how are you, which everyone has learned to answer automatically. Ask about something specific. And then wait longer than feels comfortable. And if it was you, the assignment is the same size, just harder. Tell one person one true thing before it has an ending. You've spent years being the person others can lean on. That was real, and it mattered, and none of it was wasted. It just left something out.